Hello, beautiful people. Good morning. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and it's so much pleasure. It's our pleasure to be right here on the show this beautiful morning to bring you up to speed with what's happening all around the world on your favorite breakfast show on television. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Margaret Opera, and trust me, today is going to be an amazing time because we have interesting lineup of events for you for your viewing pleasure this morning. I'm not going to be doing all of this alone because, like they say, one to chase 1,000 and two will not chase 2,000 but 10,000. So we are here to chase 10,000 this morning.
Chase them to where?
Chase them to their promised land. I think. Perpetual, good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you.
It's obvious. You're looking so radiant.
Thank you too. Perpetual, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Well, wonderful morning to you from my end. How are you? I hope you had a restful night. My name is Perpetua Fasami Peter, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to iBrandTV this beautiful Wednesday morning. And yes, you know what to expect. Well, we'll have the news update where we bring you up to speed with what's happening in Nigeria, around the world, and in the world of business. And apart from that, we'll also bring you the newspaper headlines, and then we'll move on to the discussion for the day. That's the segments I know you like. Oh, you don't? You do. Beautiful. That's the beautiful conversation that we're going to be having. And after that, I will have the sports updates and some other amazing things lined up for your listening pleasure and for your entertainment. Yes, I said that. How do you do?
Oh, well, Perpetual, I really feel so good. Aside the fact that I had to face a lot of traffic while I was coming, and it's been recurring. I'm wondering what exactly the problem is, and I'm tempted to say that those who even take public transportations would maybe the commercial motorcycles. I think it's what works right here in Lagos State.
Well, I think it's about timing. It's about when you know your mode of transportation, then you try to adapt so it works very well for you. So if you used to leave the house maybe at a particular time, you may want to work on that, and you know it's something has to give for everything.
Well,
something has to give.
Lagos traffic is inevitable. You might fly the same route in 30 minutes and come back in 10 minutes and it's blocked and you're wondering what just happened, and in front, trust me, nothing is happening in front. Oh, well, that's
Back
it.
your car on the road and mountain bike.
All right, we've got a very short time, but now when we come back, we'll bring you the news update this morning. Please do stay with us. And now it's time for the news updates segment. In the first story here says President Muhammadu Buhari has challenged Nigerians to exercise a little patience as the growing food population, or rather production in the country, especially expansion, in rice farming will eventually bring down prices of food, making it more affordable for all. Speaking yesterday at the commissioning of Central Bank of Nigeria, Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, with one paddy pyramid in Abuja, the president stated that more than 4.8 million smallholder farmers had been supported by Anchor Bora's program, with an increase in production of 23 agricultural commodities, including maize, rice, palm oil, cocoa, cotton, cassava, tomato, and livestock across the federation. He said, today, rice production in Nigeria has increased to over 7.5 million metric tons annually. Buhari explained that the large margins in the business of rice had also encouraged more people to invest in agribusiness.
Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Albert Tijani, said Nigeria will receive no fewer than 1,030 Benin artifacts from Germany this year. This, according to him, would give the Commission the opportunity to build new museums and attract more tourists across the world. Quote, it will make the foreigners understand the significance of the artifacts better and give them an added advantage which they might not get when they visit museums in Europe. End of quote. He said the Commission had partnered with corporate organizations to fund museums' activities, adding that it had renovated many museums across the country.
Starting from February 1, operators in the informal transportation sector of Lagos State would be required to pay a consolidated 800 naira daily levy. The new amount, according to Rabiu Olowo, the Commissioner for Finance, is down from about 3,000 naira being demanded from the transporters by various agents operating in the state, some of whom are unknown to the government. To ensure effective implementation of the new levy, the state government on Tuesday signed an agreement with stakeholders in the transportation sector. They include the National Union of Road Transport Workers and Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, as well as other relevant departments and agencies of the government. At the unveiling of the official ticket to drive the process, Olowo said the harmonization became necessary to lessen the burden that transporters bear as a result of these exorbitant levies.
Moving now to the international scene, Indonesia passes law to relocate capital to Borneo Jungle. Parliament on Tuesday approved a bill to relocate Indonesia's capital from Jakarta to a site deep within the jungle of Kalimantan on Borneo Island, the most significant advancement of an idea the country's leaders have been toying with for years. The new state capital law, which provides a legal framework for President Joko Widodo's ambitious $32 billion mega project, stipulates how development of the capital will be funded and governed. The new capital has a central function and is a symbol of the identity of the nation, as well as a new center of economic gravity. Planning Minister Suharto Monoarfa told Parliament after the bill was passed into law.
All right, that's a wrap on news update at this hour. But when we come back from this short break, we'll give you, or rather, we'll bring to you all the top stories on the national dailies this morning. Please stay with us.
Beautiful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
All right, now it's time to review some top stories on our national dailies this morning. And joining us to do this, we have here in the studio Dr. Dayo Kayode, a political technocrat. And I like to add the aviation expert part. Good morning, even though you hadn't talked about that part, but that's one of the things you do. Good morning,
yes,
Dr.
that's my main profession. I mean, this political technocrat just by the way. I was asking you the other time when I entered the studio that, do you know the meaning of the McGinn syndrome?
Dr. Dayo was going to bring this up. I just knew. But maybe after the show you tell me.
When we were growing up, everybody very Maghreb. We always call them McGinn syndrome.
I don't even know what that means, by the way. All right, Dr. Dayo, we'll just go straight to the business of the day right now. We'll start with the Punch paper. The banner headline here on the Punch says, APC zones chairmanship seats to North Central, leave Southeast for secretary, and that story is on page 2. With the writer saying, South to get deputy chair, we are confident of winning 2023 elections from Buni. Committee concludes other positions today, confirmed February 26th convention date. And moving further down, IPOP seat at home surrounds ground Southeast, Kanu trial holds today. And that story there is on the page 3 of the Punch paper. Abuja passengers kick as NCAA stops departing plane for inspection. Page 19 has the story. And on page 4, NSCDC nabbed 4 headsmen robbing travelers on Kwara Highway. No capital vote for NIPOS in 28 years. That's for the from the Postmaster General. That's on page 20. To the bottom stream of the paper says, Nigerian-born Canadian minister suspended for using phone while driving. That story is on page 7. And on page 4 and 5 says, FRSC blames speeding as 12 killed in Ogun on Door Highway crashes. Presidency, wealthy aspirants will fail. Oshibajo best in APC, says ex-governor Aliyu, and that's on page 9. And also the earpiece of the paper that says, we are preparing to launch second satellite in 2022. The story is on page 20. Labour leaves conditions for fuel subsidy removal, says $9.5 billion wasted on refineries. And the next story here says, cash-strapped banks borrow 9.17 trillion naira from CBN in 7 months. And we just go to the final story here. still on page 2, says, we'll forward amended Electoral Act bill to Buhari this week. And that's on page 2, as I said earlier. And that's is coming from Lawan.
And moving on to the Nation paper this morning, the banner headline here reads, How Governors Fought Plot to Score to APC Convention. This one has two riders, new leaders to be elected February 26, the second rider being Buhari's support sealed date. And moving away from that story, no decision yet on petrol subsidy removal, and that's according to Lawan. Moving away from that, 2023. Coalition begins lobby for Jonathan. Well, that's on the Nation paper today. Checking more stories on the Nation paper this morning. Now business, stock investors for terrorism link screening. Okay, stock investors for terrorism link screening. Now that's a good one. Another one here says, fresh treason charges force shift of Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Fresh treason charges force shift of Nnamdi Kanu's trial. That's on page 4. And checking more stories still on the Nation paper today. Nigeria on food sufficiency path, and that's according to the President Muhammadu Buhari. We have a writer to that story that says 1 trillion naira sunk into rice production. You may want to get a copy of the Nation paper to read up on that. And another one here on the Nation paper, President to get reworked electoral bill this week. Now, we have two writers. Lawan raises hope, and the second writer says Senate, House begin work. And just one more story from the Nation paper this morning. Oil firms relocate offshore. And that's on the Nation paper this morning.
All right, now to The Guardian. The Guardian top story here says, Nigeria caught double-digit deficit financing amid fiscal indiscipline. The writer saying federal government acknowledges concerns, hopes to improve revenue generation. Lawan, government will help borrowing to fund development until revenue rises. Scale down size of government, cost of governance, says Yusuf. All right, that story continues on the page 2 of the Guardian paper. So the bottom stream says, INEC hangs 2023 timetable on passage of electoral bill. You can still get the story on page 2. So the piece of paper says, President did order fuel subsidy removal. Lawan clarifies, and that's on page 3. APC holds convention February 26. Stakeholders insist dates not sacrosanct. That's on page 3 and on page 4. Lagos transporters to pay 24,000 naira monthly levy besides NURTW and RTEAN dues, and that's on page 4. And finally, only 6 of Nigeria's offshore rigs operational as oil prices near $90 US.
And moving on to Business Day, checking out the stories we have right there. The banner headline reads, 10 years after protest, over $60 billion on subsidy, no change. 10 years after protest, over $60 billion on subsidy, no change. Checking another story on Business Day this morning, China-India freight costs declines as container scarcity abates. China-India freight cost declines as container scarcity abates. Two more stories from this paper. Why tech, not branches, is king for Nigerian banks. That's a beautiful one, talking about the power of technology and how it's making things better for banks. I'll take that again. Why tech, not branches, is king for Nigerian banks. And finally, we have attracts more investment, borrow less. Experts tell federal government. And that's all on Business Day.
Oh, all right, Dr. Dayo, I want to pick on the paper. The story of one of the papers it's been on for I think for a few hours now, since about yesterday. The Lagos transporters paying a cumulative sum of 24,000 naira to the NURTW and beg your pardon. And now we look at the ripple effect it would have. I was listening to someone talk about this morning on my way to work on radio. He talked about the fact that the government has is trying to generate revenue, increased this and making these people pay these things, and yet not employing. And now the ripple effect is the fact that the transportation fare, which already it's a big problem in Lagos State, there's going to be a hike, tremendous hike. So what do you have to make of all of this happenings?
Yes, before that, I could see one particular picture that is very, very open in the papers today as regards displaying of bags of rice.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like that of a Bikule Amosun when when he invited Central Bank to Ogun State then and said he want to showcase the rice that they are growing in Ogun State. And then he put up a pyramid of planks and then pasted some rice on it. You know,
I hope it's not that.
I hope it's not that. And the federal government should just let that rice go down to the people instead of displaying it. People are hungry. A lot of people are on the street being, suffering.
I think the essence of that was just to let us know that the Anchor Boras program is successful.
We don't need it. For us to know it's successful, we need to see it on our tables.
And we need to see displayed first, and after displayed, then they give it to the people.
We don't do that. We don't need it.
All right, so let's move
now,
on.
you see, back to that question you asked. Yes, for a while, some of us who are experts in transportation planning and administration have been talking as regards this loophole in economy. Not even only Lagos State. Lagos State, Oyo State, that's Ibadan, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano, Kaduna, Jos, all those areas that we have big metropolitan cities. That there are a lot of money in transportation that you have not been able to tap. There was a time again on the social media, it went viral then, how much money goes to those that collect money on the road.
Roads, yes.
I don't want to mention any name now.
That's fine.
Do you understand? Billions of naira every month. Now make that one in a year. Times 4 years of the lifespan of an administration. You can see how much money that will have come into the covers of the government, and then how much money they will be having to improve on especially road infrastructure in the state.
So what do you advise?
So as they are doing this now, it is good. It is very, very good. But mark you, this morning again, who is going to be collecting it?
Exactly the question. And
because when I went through the speech of the Transport Commissioner for Lagos State on this issue yesterday, I was looking, who is going to be collecting this money? Is somebody going to be collecting on behalf of government? If someone is collecting on behalf of government, is it not a way to enrich somebody again? Towards only God knows. So this thing needs to be properly conceptualized before government will be able to see the effect of it, and before the thing can also translate into development of especially road infrastructure in Lagos State.
Okay, I think you're done. You're okay with that.
That's
okay. Just before we move on, let's talk about the APC now concluding that the convention would hold on the 26th of February. What's your reaction to
Go
that?
to also the rider. There was a rider when you were riding. Some leaders also said it's not sacrosanct.
But
that date is not sacrosanct. Who among them is having Buhari's support? Is Buhari APC? No, it's just a single individual. Right. Even though he's the leader of the party, but he has just one voice. When he says something, others need to support. But if only APC can get their acts together to have their convention, it will be good for them. But it's also so unfortunate. APC is made up of strange fellows with their different idiosyncrasies. So not until when every one of them is ready to drop their toga of idiosyncrasies, I don't think they can get ahead.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this, Dr. Dayo. We'll come back to you for the main discussion of the day. All right, that was Dr. Dayo Kayode, political technocrat, making sense of this conversation. So before we go on to the main topic of the day, we would like you to see a package report on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Please take a listen.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, said the Senate postponed discussion on the consideration of the response to President Muhammadu Buhari on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill in December last year to enable the chamber to consult with its counterparts in the House of Representatives and their constituents respectively.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate postponed discussions on the consideration of response of Mr. President on the Electoral Act 2010 Amendment Bill to enable us to consult with our counterparts in the House of Representatives and also consult our constituents. Like we all know, the Senate and indeed the National Assembly worked so hard on the bill. Having consulted, the Senate will expeditiously look into the issue.
Mr. Lawal said the Senate must continue to prioritize the security and welfare of citizens as enshrined in the Constitution, while urging Nigerians not to despair as a result of security challenges confronting the nation.
Distinguished colleagues, the security situation in our country is still there. We must remain focused and determined to work with the executive arm of government and also continue to support our armed forces and security agencies. We must continue to prioritize the security and welfare of our citizens as enshrined in our Constitution. I urge us not to be discouraged by the situation. We should make this year as the year for the final securing of our nation from the numerous security challenges.
I, Boji Warrior, reporting for iBrandTV News.
The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has expressed hope that the National Assembly will pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill on Wednesday, that's today, and present it to the President Buhari for assent this week. You will recall that the President cited insecurity, the cost of conducting direct primaries, and infringement on the right of Nigerians to participate in governance as his reason for declining the assent. But in a recent interview, he assured that if the changes are made to the clause, that's to include the addition of consensus candidates and indirect primaries options to the mode of selecting a candidate for an election, he would sign the bill. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party PDP Governors Forum in a recent communique has urged the National Assembly to immediately conclude issues surrounding the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by overriding President Muhammadu Buhari's veto. And to make sense of all of this, we still have with us Dr. Dayo Kayode. Dr. Dayo, I want to pick the fact of the PDP. Now, the PDP, the list of complaints in the Senate came majorly from the People's Democratic Party. Of course, they felt slighted. So would you see, I think, like I would say, they felt slighted. And it seems like they're talking about there were no consensus. Right? And aside the direct primaries, they keep hitting on the direct primaries, but I believe there are other issues that are going to surround this thing aside the direct primaries that really people are not really talking about. So what do you think are all of these things surrounding this electoral amendment bill aside the direct primaries that seems to be like the overriding issue in this?
Yeah, you see, I've always been saying that the laws that we have in this country, they are good enough for us to move on as a nation. But it's a pity. Everybody wants to interpret it at any point in time to suit their mindset, to suit their own environment, and to also suit their thinking. Now, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended created or gave room for formation of political parties. And when parties are being formed, before you can register your party, you will have your constitution. Absolutely. And the Constitution of Nigeria has given political parties powers to control their parties, the affairs of their parties, based on their constitution, without any interference from anybody. And that is why they have National Working Committee, NWC.
Okay, now that I believe the lawmakers, they are also members of these parties and they are aware that their parties have constitutions that they go by. Don't you think there is a reason why the members of the National Assembly are really interested in having direct primaries? Maybe there's something they're trying to address in the various parties.
And that is why I said initially that our laws in this country are good enough for us to progress. But individuals or group of people, they always interpret it to suit their own purpose. You could see that the National Assembly is in loggerheads with the governors as regards this particular electoral act. Why? Why is a section clamoring for direct primaries and another one clamoring for indirect? It is to suit what they are envisaging towards 2023, nothing more.
So you think all of this?
It is not that I think, I know. It is I know. Whatever they are doing. If it is to Nigeria, they have no business with that. Why don't they talk about DSTV or all these providers that are increasing their prices every time? They said it sometimes ago that it is pay as you go. And they monitor them to ensure that it's pay as you go, that those people are allowing their customers to be on.
Okay.
So the issue is, let them use their time to do what they are supposed to do and stop genuflecting with somebody else's activities.
All right, you know, there is a sense of urgency that we are supposed to see with the passage of this particular bill. Do you see that in the manner in which the National Assembly is going, saying that we may not have the timetable and INEC may not be able to prepare will not be able to release the timetable until this law is passed? Don't you think that they're supposed to expedite action? And I mean, should we still be here?
INEC has already given out its timetable.
Well, they are saying that they will not do anything. They won't go ahead until this particular bill is passed.
Sure, but the thing is, INEC too should also live to its billings. There are some sections within the Constitution that has empowered INEC on some things. There's also an act that created INEC. What are the things that are inside that act? They should look at it and then be able to know what to do. National Assembly is not to be telling, they should know that National Assembly is not to be telling parties on what to do. They should know that they are supposed to determine whether to go, they are supposed to determine whether to go on electronic voting or not. They know that they themselves, they have tried electronic transmission of results. And it has given some level of credibility to elections being conducted by them. So why are they now allowing INEC to hoodwink them? Allowing National Assembly to hoodwink them on some issues that are not supposed to be.
But don't you think they have their reasons for saying that? Because this is supposed to be the law that would govern the conduct of this election.
But then the laws that are supposed to govern the law, the elections of the country have been there. All we need to do is to move forward rather than going backward.
Now, this issue of the PDP complaining that there was no consensus, that's why they feel more like assuming or insinuating that there was no consensus, that's why they feel slighted. Now, for an issue as important as an electoral bill, election concerns the whole nation, irrespective of if you are the ruling party or you are the opposition party, your PDP, your APC, or what have you. So for the issue of no consensus, feeling slighted, no synergy, one party is saying they are with the president, the other party is saying go against the president's veto and do this thing. So talking about consensus and synergy in regards to something as important as an electoral bill that concerns the whole country, the electoral system in itself, which people have argued that is already failing. So is there not supposed to be a kind of synergy whatsoever just to make this work from both parts? For me, National Assembly is National Assembly, and then there's what we call party politics within the National Assembly, and then there's also what we call party supremacy. Do you understand? And then believing in your party, okay? Those things are there. But for me, I don't know the kind of consensus that person is talking about. Mine is what the National Assembly is doing as regards direct or indirect primaries is wrong. Let them look further by talking about electronic voting, not about electronic transmission of results.
Do we need any consensus on that? Do we need any synergy on that? Constitutional provisions that are there. The act that created INEC is also there. So what consensus? Other than to look into the books and then let's all be reasonable as regards what is written in the books without any iota of subjectivity.
All right, now consider this particular Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which is with the National Assembly right now. Just like my colleague said, there's been a whole lot about the direct or indirect primaries, and I think maybe the electronic transmission or otherwise. Apart from these two, are there other provisions or clauses in that act that you feel that Nigerians really need to even pay more attention to?
Yeah.
What they are all talking about as regards this one they are presenting to the president is about direct or indirect primaries. Then electronic transmission. What else? Those are the two important things there. And they are all on needs because they are looking for a way to sustain themselves in power. Nothing more.
Okay.
Nothing more.
I asked you a question about urgency the other time. I just want to take that question again. I really want you to answer this question about urgency. Don't you think that the National Assembly actually need to expedite action and get that law sorted as soon as possible?
They need to act with utmost urgency. Okay? But at the same time, they must also act accordingly in terms of what are the dictates of the constitution as regards party administration, what are the dictates within the act that created INEC, without looking at how it will favor them. We should look at how we can have credible election, not as regards because yes, I want this person to win the primaries of the presidency. If you go through indirect, because it doesn't have the government structure, it will not favor the person. So because of that, it must be. But because you cannot force it, then let us go through our own constituency, which is National Assembly. And then I say, okay, look, because we are also in charge of the party within the state, yes, we want government machinery to dictate who becomes the choice of the party. All right? So because of that, it has to be indirect. Because they know that the structure that we go in for the indirect are in their own pocket. But should it be? No. Let the National Working Committee of the party, according to their constitution, dictate. Are we going to... It happened in Lagos State sometime, I mean, during Ambode era.
2015, yeah.
The leaders came up. They said, okay, even though we have been using indirect primaries before, but this time around, we are not going to use indirect. Because then, Ambode has that power structure, dual government structure. They now use direct, whereby everybody will come in. Whether I know Ambode or I don't know Ambode, I want to come and vote. So the issue is, it is all about party politics. So let us leave party politics for the political parties.
Well, you mentioned earlier in your conversations, you talked about the fact that the Electoral Amendment Bill, we should rather focus on electronic transmission of results.
Beyond that, okay. Electronic voting.
Okay, now let's talk about voting. I beg your pardon. Now, talking about the we don't even have a credible voter register to start with. Because in some places you talk about electronic transmission of results or electronic voting, you see that there's no credible voter register because you have conflicting figures here and there. So how, without a credible voter register, talking about electronic voting, can it really work?
Should I tell you something? There are two things.
Okay.
We have credible electoral register. Between you and me, yes, we have it.
As opposed to what we see on...
We have it, but there is what we call polytricking. Polytricking. That is politics and trick put together now. Then there's also what we call political intrigues. Do you understand? So who is in control of a particular commission? Let me use that word, commission. in any area will be the one that will dictate what happens. Whereby they will say this machine that they use to detect is not working, and let us quickly. And meanwhile, you see underage voting. So when they have allowed underage voting, how will those people be accredited? It's by saying that thing is not working now, and then they will now go to that paper and whatever.
Okay, so
are you with me?
Yeah.
So that is what we call one, politicking and political intrigue.
How do we address that to ensure that we don't hide under certain inefficiencies?
Yes, the way we address it is by going beyond television houses and radio houses to participate in grassroots politicking, not politicking now, grassroots politicking. I was at a meeting with some people till about 9 o'clock yesterday, talking about how we can make the election in my own locality where I reside count, and we are going to do it. Because I have told people I am going now beyond political agitation to political participation.
Okay.
Political participation does not mean you must contest. It's beyond contesting. It includes you knowing who is going to be your representative within your locality. It includes you having your voter's card and ensure that your vote counts. And what we are planning is, one, during accreditation, we want to see, is it your voter's card you are bringing or a dead person's voter's card?
But you know there are people who have like 2-3 voters cards.
That's what I'm saying. We need
to be sure.
Yes, that is to say, Ojulala Confin Shori.
Thank you, Dr.
This time around.
Thank you, Dr. Dayo. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this conversation today. All right, that was Dr. Dayo Kayode, our political technocrat. We'll take a very short break now. When we come back, Samson Oluyede will be standing by for sports news. Please stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services, that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's through unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare, fortified with vitamin A, low in sugar and cholesterol, rich in fiber that helps the heart, builds and strengthens the bone, and his energy level is boosted.
Through unripe plantain flour, no additives, 100% natural, a product of Pali Agro Products Nigeria. Through unripe plantain flour, available in all leading stores nationwide.
on to iBrand Daybreak, and now Samson Oloyede joins us while you're on set to bring us up to speed with what's happening in the world of sports. Good morning, Samson.
Good morning. Good morning, Margaret. Good morning.
Good to have you on board.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming here too. All right, straight to the top discussion of the day, right?
Yeah, well, the big one is the African Cup of Nations, and the biggest news has to be Ghana, exiting the competition, courtesy of a 3-2 defeat to Comoros, who are debutants when it comes to the African Cup of Nations. Surprisingly, the Ghanaians lost the match by 3-2, as I said earlier, and it was a dreadful night for them as they lost their captain, Adriayu, to a red card early on in the game, and that just spelled doom until the end. They rallied, though. There were 2 goals down at some point, rallied to level matters, 2 goals apiece, but they considered it, it's a 5th minute, third goal to ensure that they lost the match. Now, it's surprising because in a group that has Gabon, Comoros, and you wouldn't expect Ghana to be at the bottom of the table, but they finished their African Cup of Nations tournament with a solitary point, and they're rooted at the bottom of the table. Comoros, who won yesterday, are not going anywhere in terms of qualification. So it's a great win for Comoros in terms of defeating 4-time champions, the Ghanaians. But in terms of qualification for the round of 16, the Comoros team will not be going anywhere. For the Ghanaians, it leaves them at a sorry state for their football, because this is probably the lowest they've been, and this is the first time since 2006 that they've crashed out at the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. It's also the first time in over 23 years that they've failed to really make it count when it comes to the competition. So Ghanaian football at this point in time isn't in a good place. Well, let's move away from the African Cup of Nations and talk about Australian Open, which is also the first Grand Slam of the year. It is the big one, and world number 1 Ashley Barty as well as Rafael Nadal are into the 3rd round, as both of them were able to register comprehensive wins in their 2nd round match. For Rafael Nadal, he was able to dispatch Yannick Hoffmann, while Ashley Barty was able to dispatch Italian qualifier 6-1, 6-1 in straight sets to ensure that they booked their place in the 3rd round. And Ashley Barty is currently on course to face the defending champion and 13th seed Naomi Osaka in round 4. That's if she's able to get past Camila Giorgi in the 3rd round. So it promises to be exciting as always when it comes to the world of tennis.
Okay. So talking about Ghana, after reading the first time in 23 years that they had come to just something you said, I'm trying to pick.
First time since 2006 as well that they crashed out of the group stage.
So it seemed they had an amazing time with football. They've had an amazing time with football, but now it feels like from up crashing down. So where would they go from here?
That's the challenge. They have a relatively good squad. But in recent times, they've just faltered when it matters the most in terms of...
What has actually gone wrong with them?
Well, you also have to look at probably the coaching aspect of things. Milanovan has insisted he will be there. That's the coach, the Ghanaian coach. He will be there for them for the World Cup qualifiers in March, which is the final round that will determine if Ghana goes through to Qatar in November. But the thing with that is this. There's every possibility he would also get sacked even before then. Remember, they qualified for that final round, courtesy of a controversial penalty in defeating South Africa 1-0. Again, for Ghanaians, their footballers are also not playing at top flights all over the world. Their biggest exports rather, are the Ayew brothers, Andre and Jordan. Yet they are playing for relatively, small clubs when it comes to European football. So these things count.
All right, thank you so much, Samson. Nigeria is playing today. We hope
what's your prediction?
Quickly. Prediction, you come $500,000.
It's difficult. It's a dead rubber match. Dead rubber in the sense that win or lose, it doesn't have any effect. The Super Eagles are into the round of 16 already. So Guavana said that's the interim coach that will experiment new legs, and you should expect that. So that may affect the scoreline, but we should still win.
All right, well, we will win. All right, thank you so much, Samson, for that top sport news update. Of course, I'm beginning to enjoy sport, even though it's not something I really enjoy on a normal day.
I'll bring you in, don't worry.
All right, thank you for bringing me in. It's time to call it a wrap on the show today. I'm sure you had a swell time, because I did. Don't forget, iBrand Daybreak continues tomorrow, and iBrandTV doesn't just end with iBrand Daybreak. We have more interesting segments, programs for your viewing pleasure, and I'll leave you with a quote from Dan McLaren that says, "Nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness and health. but has left us to put these pieces together. So to say that you've been given all the raw materials or the food stuff to make an amazing meal, it's left for you to decide how amazing the meal you want, or the meal you want in the first place, and how amazing you want your meal. Relating it to us, because we like food. So nature has given you all the pieces put together to make a successful and amazing life. So it's your choice, it's in your hands to make or to bring out what you want from your life. And that's all I have to say about this conversation. Join us tomorrow for an amazing time on iBrand Daybreak. My name is Margaret Appa. Enjoy the rest of your day.
My name is Perpetua Fasami Peter. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.
And I'm Samson Olede. Do have a wonderful day.
Bye for now.